what's up everybody? Gonna do a classic rock reaction, man. This is a full album reaction, and it's featuring the album called Coverdale Page. David Coverdale, Jimmy Page, I believe it was their only collaboration, and this is a full album reaction, man. So what I'm gonna do with this full album reaction, now this is a full album reaction plus an interview. There is a 10-minute short interview featuring Coverdale and Page. See how they talk, how they get along, how they collaborate, and maybe a little background information. Now, I know it's only 10 minutes of a much longer interview, something like an hour and a half, but I think for the purposes of this reaction, 10 minutes should be good enough. So, man, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to split this into 2, maybe 3 parts. What I do with album reactions is I split it in half, so that's video 1, video 2, and then sometimes there's a third video featuring the review. So we'll see how that goes. Depending on how YouTube takes it, it might take 2 videos only, sometimes 3. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, before I pop this off, I just want to give a shout out and a thanks to Evelyn. Thanks very much for the recommendation, Evelyn, and also the links. Evelyn has a note for me. Actually, she's got a big-ass note in 3 parts. Hang on. Hi, Wayne. Hope all is well with you. For your post-Zeppelin journey, here is a link to the great Coverdale Page album. It deserves a full album review. Taken as a whole, I think it's Page's best work post-Zeppelin. There's also an hour interview with Page and Coverdale if you'd like that for a separate review, or just to watch in your own time. Let me know if you'd like that. And then here's the link to the album. And then her follow-up note said, I was watching some interviews of the 2 of them. They do great interviews together, well-spoken and very polite. There is a long one, 75 minutes, but there's also a 10-minute one that gives a great taste of how they are together. I know you do your album reactions as first the album, then the review. It would be interesting, I think, to do the short interview as part of the reaction. Here is the link. Sounds like a good idea. What I'll do, Evelyn, is I'll do the album and I'll do the review. And then after that, we'll do the video, okay, of the interview and go that way so that we don't break out of structure too much. Here is something that really caught my eye. This is another note from her. She said, the reaction of Robert to Jimmy pairing up with Coverdale is one of the only times I've ever been disappointed in Robert in his career. He had moved on from heavy rock with Zeppelin, but didn't want Jimmy to do Zeppelin and anything with anyone else. He acted as though Jimmy had betrayed him in some way. I understand the emotion, I think. He and Jimmy had had a very close collaborative relationship, but I felt he should have taken the high road and just wished them well. I don't know as Robert and David have ever mended fences over this. Jimmy and David have stayed cordial from what I've read. Okay. Yeah, a little bit more detail has to go into that. I really need to know why. Well, it doesn't take a genius to understand that, okay, you know, I had a relationship with this guy. We climbed the mountain together, and here is this knockoff wannabe Robert Plant taking my place. You know what I mean? So maybe it's just as simple as that. Anyway, long enough intro, man. Let's hit up side 1 of Coverdale Page. We'll deliberate a little bit later on. All right. Coverdale Page, side 1. Let's get it. Cheers, baby.
I don't wanna be your slave. You're trying to drive me to an early grave. All I ever hear is that you live and breathe for me, but all you ever do, baby, is shake me.
Actually, it sounds like plant in some places. This must have got under his skin. Rubber plant. Sound, man. It's got Jimmy Keith right there. Doesn't it? Two distinct voices. See? Now he's a plant. Got range, man. I got a question for you. If you are Robert Plant, sitting listening to this shit, how would you feel? What would you be thinking? Answer that for me.
Everywhere I turn, I know this love is gonna burn me, but I'm waiting on you, no matter what you do. Shine. but each and every day
This has Jimmy Page all over it. I recognize the musicians that are in the record and the patterns. Excellent. Got a good sound there.
Now my days are growing cold. All the memories unfold. Thinking about the friends we lost, wondering how to count the cost. Now my days are growing cold. I can hardly wait any longer. Now the feeling's growing stronger. Thinking about the times we had, good times always turn into bad. Now my days are growing cold. Why don't you take me for a little while? Sing the songs you know will make me smile. Why don't you take me for a little while? As I watch the rising sun, I see a new day just begun. Thinking about the sacrifice, wondering how to pay the price. Now my world is growing cold. Why don't you take me for a little while? Sing the songs you know will make me smile, make me smile. Why don't you take me for a little while? Yeah. my memories been told. Thinking about the dreams we lost, wondering how to count the cost. Now my days are growing cold. Why don't you take me for a little while? Sing the songs you know will make me smile. Why don't you take me for a little while? Sing the songs you know will make me smile. Why don't you take me for a little while?
I think this is his natural voice.
Sing the songs you know will make me smile.
By natural, I mean this is 90% of how he sings,
Why don't you take me for a little while?
and then the other voice is the plant note. Am I accurate?
Songs you know
Information?
make me smile. Make me smile. Why don't you take me for a little while? Sing the songs you know will make me smile. Somebody take me. Won't you make me smile?
That is how you do a love song slash ballad slash broken heart love song. Nothing corny, nothing sappy about it. Nice. They've got a good sound, man.
Instead you give me love, instead you cause me pain. You made me cuss and slam the door, and my head in shame. But it's over now. It's over now. You talked to me of virtue, you sang a song so sweet. All I know is I could smell perfume of the sea. It's over now. It's over now. Told me I'm innocent, and I believe it all. But your best friend is your vanity, and the mirror on the wall. It's over now. I turned away from what I heard, everything I saw. Now I see the light of day, and release the double wall. talk for hours. I tried to build a garden, but you trampled all the flowers. And it's over now.
Imagine describing your ex as a garden boy. Well, I don't know what it is. It's a power struggle.
Standing up against the wall. What you gonna do? What you gonna say? When you feel like
Plant mode.
what you gonna do? What you gonna say? Standing up against the wall. So what you gonna do? What you gonna say? When you feel like a foul.
You can tell when Jimmy Page is behind that guitar.
So what you gonna do?
His presence just haunts us. That was good. That was good.
Hey, gypsy woman, roll your dice for me. Read my tarot card so I can see. I'm raising some crows and glasses, pocket full of backstage passes. Lady luck, roll your dice for me. The boys are feeling hot tonight. The boys are feeling hot tonight. Hey, hey, hey. Look out, baby. The boys are feeling hot tonight. The boys are feeling hot tonight. The boys are feeling hot tonight. Rip it up, baby.
Wow. There's a lot of plant mode in that one. Shades of That's the Way.
Want you in the night, so you gave yourself to strangers, left you crying at this light. Think the world you live in doesn't notice you. Don't you worry, baby, out there to comfort you. Take it easy. Easy. Easy does it, baby, nice and slow. I'll take you when and where the four winds blow. We don't more, my lady, don't you cry. I can paint your portrait with those tears in your eyes. But I can give you love every night and day. We will walk together, moving on our way.
Doesn't this give you that familiar feeling of That's the Way? Is it just me?
Take it easy. Easy. Easy does it, baby, nice and slow. I'll take you anywhere the four winds blow.
Thunder.
Tell you something, you'll understand. When I hold out, baby,
Yo. Yo, I only have one word. I only have one thing to say. That word is damn. This is good. Alright, it's not on the level of Led Zeppelin good, but it's damn good. Yo, man. I've got 2 questions for you. 2 questions. The first is an easy question. Jimmy Page, after Led Zeppelin, he did Coverdale Page, and he also did The Firm. If it was up to you, which outfit would you rather see him continue with? Having multiple albums, multiple live performances, concerts, tours, all of that. Which outfit would you have preferred? Which outfit do you think that would have done very well, would have excelled? You know, I know that he only did 2 albums with The Firm, only 1 album with Coverdale. So, if, let's say, between Coverdale or The Firm, they had multiple albums, but you can only choose 1 outfit, which one? Answer that one for me. Answer that question. Secondly, most importantly, man, I had a whole bunch of thoughts, so many coming at me, I felt like writing the shit down. Let me go back to Evelyn, though. Let me go back to your note, Evelyn, and what you said about Robert. I don't have answers, I only have ideas. The reaction of Robert to Jimmy pairing up with Coverdale is one of the only times I've ever been disappointed in Robert in his career. He had moved on from heavy rock and Zeppelin, but didn't want Jimmy to do Zeppelin with anyone else either. That's the key. He didn't want Jimmy to do Zeppelin with anyone else. Zeppelin is hallowed ground. Zeppelin is sacred, right? He acted as though Jimmy had betrayed him in some way. I understand the emotion, I think. He and Jimmy had had a very close collaborative relationship, but I felt he should have taken the high road and just wished them well. I don't know as Robert and David have ever mended fences over this. Jimmy and David have stayed cordial from what I've read. Evelyn, imagine you and imagine you're sitting right next to me on the Lazy Boy. And we're talking. You just finished saying this to me. Then you played me the first half of Coverdale Page, right? Here is my answer to you. Imagine if you were Robert Plant sitting down, listening to this. What is going on in your head being Robert Plant, your emotions being Robert Plant? The first impression you're going to think of being Robert Plant is, holy shit. Jimmy's moved on. He has a guy who looks like me. He has a guy who sounds like me, right? He has a guy who could probably cover Led Zeppelin songs if they choose to go down that road. Here's the question, based on where their relationship is. Do you think that choosing Coverdale was a eye in the finger to Robert Plant from Jimmy Page? He could have chosen someone else, but no, here is a guy that looks like and sounds like. You know what I'm talking about? So it isn't a difficult leap for Robert to imagine in his mind's eye Coverdale fronting a new reformed Led Zeppelin. After all, Jimmy Page has done it before. Led Zeppelin became the new Yardbirds, and now why not a Coverdale-led Led Zeppelin? They've got John Bonham's son. They've got Jones on board. And now he's got Coverdale. Why not? And all they have to do is just cover Led Zeppelin songs, have a Led Zeppelin revival. Boom. You know what I'm talking about? So all of those emotions, how do you think Robert felt in his mind's eye? Now I'm just speculating here. Maybe I'm dead wrong. But if you were Robert Plant, is it really, really that hard to understand how he might have felt? It's easy to understand. And at the same time, too, he's thinking to himself, all right, these guys are going to replace me. go on tour, have more great success, climb the top of the mountain without me. I'm just going to be a forgotten footnote, just somebody who's replaceable. Those are crazy emotions that swirl around in your head time and time again. Metaphorically, for Robert, it's like allowing David Coverdale to come into his house, walk into his bedroom, and sleep with his wife. Imagine that shit. Evelyn, imagine allowing your best friend to bed your husband. Imagine how that would feel. Everybody, imagine your best friend getting it on and taking over, replacing you and getting it on with your significant other. Focus on that feeling for a minute. That is how I would say that Robert Plant felt. Again, Jimmy could have chosen anybody, but he decided to go with a guy who looks like him, sounds like him, who could take over the helm of Led Zeppelin and cover those songs, go on tour, have another revival. Based on their relationship, I don't know where it was at in 92, 93ish or whatever, how solid it was, but if it wasn't very solid and Jimmy could have went in that direction, that's where, and on top of that, with Robert saying, obviously somebody hit him up in an interview and he shared his displeasure, and this is what Evelyn is saying, that she was disappointed in him in the way he reacted. I don't believe that Robert ran through his answers. You know, if you're a celebrity and there's something of controversy, somebody comes up to you and catches you off guard or pokes a camera in your face and a mic in your face and asks you that question, you know, you're not prepared. Maybe he didn't prepare his script. He didn't prepare it. He didn't run through it. He didn't condition himself that if this happens, this is how I'm going to react. You know what I'm saying? It's like practicing your martial arts. If this happens, this is my conditioned response. That's why you're so quick on the draw, right? He did not practice his answer because it was going to come. He was probably still caught up in the emotional turmoil of it all, and he didn't say, okay, this is the path that I'm going to follow going forward. I will leave this behind and I will walk away from it. But at the same time, he didn't formulate his answer. So he didn't answer as eloquently and as polished as a celebrity should. You remember, he's in the public eye. So yeah, they're fallible. They make perfect music, but they're not perfect themselves. So I'll cut him some slack on that one. Not his finest hour. We can forgive him for that. That's a hard pill to swallow, though. The guy looks like me, sounds like me. He's probably younger, and he can take over, and he can take Led Zeppelin on the road and become just as successful with our songs, the songs that we wrote and performed together. All of those days, all of those nights, all of those days spent at, what the hell is that cottage called? With no water and shit. And made all of those great songs. Stairway to Heaven, That's the Way I mentioned. All of those songs from Led Zeppelin 3. All of those moments of creativity that he had with Jimmy Page. You know, all being threatened. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's like I said, it's like having somebody walk into your house and sleeping with your significant other. That's how he felt, you know, so I can understand it. Maybe I'm wrong, but what do you think? That's basically my question. Anyway, let's cut it off here, man. This is the end of side 1. No, it's not Led Zeppelin, but it's good enough. I mean, this is 1993, and you're not going to expect a Led Zeppelin level thing from Jimmy Page, no. But this is pretty damn good. So if they had continued with a couple of successive albums, that's good enough. Good enough for me. I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. I'm sure side 2 is going to be just as good. So a couple more Coverdale Page albums like this could have sealed them as being really good, you know, not on the level of Ever Again, but, you know, pretty damn good showing for what Page is up to. He's doing really well. He's moved on from Led Zeppelin, and he's still in command, and he's still one of the best in the world. That's good enough. I'm sure Page would have been happy with that, which is going to lead to my next question. Why did they not carry on? But I'm going to save that until the end of side 2. So this is the end of side 1. I'll see you in side 2. Peace. Okay, everybody, here we are, man. We are back again. We're hitting up side 2 of Coverdale Page, their only album collaboration. Side 1 was excellent, man. Lots of elements of Jimmy Page in there. You can tell the musicianship, song structure. One particular song taking me back and giving me the same feels from Led Zeppelin 3, That's the Way. Coverdale has 2 distinct voices. What I'm calling his regular voice, his regular sound, and then his plant sound. And I would say that, I don't know, 75% of the time he's in his regular voice, and then he can go into that plant sound. I don't know, I hope that doesn't piss anybody off with the way I describe it, but that's just what I'm going with. But you know what I'm talking about, right? That's the point. So let's hit up side 2, man. And you know what I'm going to do? Evelyn, instead, once we finish side 2, let's immediately go to the interview. And then from there, we'll do the review, because maybe the interview will actually answer some questions that I have, so I don't feel stupid. So let's do it that way instead. All right. Without further ado, side 2. Let's get it.
I just wanna hold you, babe, make you feel alright. When the sun is shining, or the sky is filled with rain, wherever we may be, I'm gonna make love with you again. Now I don't need a crystal ball to tell me it's true, 'cause I crossed too many rivers on my way to finding you. Your smile like the summer sun, come back to my day. When I'm feeling down, you chase the dark clouds away. There ain't no doubt about it, baby. I'm gonna shout about it. Take a look at yourself. Can't you see why I want you and nobody else? 'Cause the first thing in the morning, last thing at night, I just wanna hold you, baby, make you feel alright, yeah. Sometimes I feel it in my bones when the cold north winds blow. But when you put your arms around me, I can feel it no more. I've been guilty of 1,000 crimes and matters of the heart, but just the thought of losing you, it tears me apart. There ain't no doubt about it, baby. I'm gonna shout about it. Take a look at yourself. Can't you see why I want you and nobody else? 'Cause the first thing in the morning, last thing at night, I just wanna hold you, baby, make you feel alright, yeah. There ain't no doubt
cool love song. No sappiness.
I'm sick and tired and lonely. I'm sitting in my room, staring at the shadows, blowing smoke rings at the moon. Every night I cry, every night I cry, trying to work out why. I just wanna know, got to know, why you keep on pushing me, baby. You love me when you want, and take me when you need. Whatever you say to me, baby, make my poor heart beat. I don't wanna win, but I don't wanna lose. I don't wanna be alone no more, no more. I just wanna give you love. I just got to give you love. But you keep on giving love. You give another man your love. Do it, baby, don't you leave me this way. Don't leave me. I never wanna hurt you, or wanna tie you down. But every time I take a look in the mirror, I can see the heartache hanging around. I'm going down to the ground. Why you always wanna bring me down? Baby, baby, why do you always bring me down? 'Cause you keep on giving love. You give another man your love. Baby, baby, don't you leave me this way. Don't you leave me, baby, baby, baby. My heart is aching, my heart is breaking for you. And I can't take it anymore, no more, no more.
It's taking me back to that guitar solo from Since I've Been Loving You. I got those feels. This has too much of a Led Zeppelin footprint for Robert Plant not to feel it on a personal level. No way. Yeah, it was just too close, too personal. That is what was wrong with this collaboration.
Sick and tired and lonely, nothing left to see. Just thinking about you, baby, takes all my night and day. All my nights, all my days.
This is the song. This is the song Robert Plant would have listened to and said, "Oh shit, they're gonna replace me and erase my memory." This is the song that did it. This would be the song that would do it for me. That was near perfect Led Zeppelin-esque. No, to hell with it. I'm right. My theory, I am right. In the light. Are you not getting the feels? In the light.
shining, but I can feel the rain falling down to wash my tears away. Wash my tears away. Oh, my Lord, save your tears. You cried for me 1,000 years. I was blind to all your fears. Now I can't stop the tears from falling down. Come down on Judgment Day. I'm getting on my knees and pray. Say, Peter, don't you send me away. I can see the sun is shining, but I can feel the rain falling down to wash my tears away.
Excellent group of musicians he's got assembled. It's great musicianship. Tight. Next one.
I hear the sound of distant thunder echo all around. I see the tragedy of young ones lying on the ground. I see the fathers, sons, and daughters, with the mothers crying. Nothing left for me to do. Whisper a prayer for the dying. Pray for the dying. Suffocating heat of jungle, burning desert sand. Where everything reminds you you're a stranger in a strange land. The soothing words of politicians, those bodyguards of lies. Where guardian angels waste their time, and every mother cries. Pray for the dying, dying, dying. Oh, distant thunder echo all around. See the tragedy of young ones lying on the ground. I see the father, sons and daughters, hear the mothers crying. There's nothing left for me to do but whisper a prayer for the dying.
Excellent. That was a nice, long, extended jam, really showcasing their musicianship. That was awesome. Hey, man. Lots of great complementary signature sounds, complementing the Led Zeppelin sound of old, if you want to use those terms, coupled with something new, the new times, 20 years removed. So yeah, man, it's really something to think about. Here is my thoughts. Absolution Blues sealed it for me. Here is my theory. Dice me up as much as you want. Let me walk you through a hypothetical. Coverdale Page do this collaboration. It's a litmus test. Page, being the visionary planner that he is, after all, this guy crafted Led Zeppelin. He was back in the days and the times. He had awareness. He had awareness of the landscape, and he said, this is how we're gonna blaze our trail. This is the craft. This is the form. And these are the elements that we're gonna put into place. This is how Led Zeppelin is gonna proceed. That dude had all of that shit planned way back then in his young 20s. Fast forward now, he is on that plateau again. That opportunity to plan, that opportunity to say, okay, in this guy, Coverdale, he's got the look, he's got the sound, right? And on my side, I've got the ability to create and plan. I've also got John Paul Jones, and I've also got Jason Bonham. We can do something with Led Zeppelin again. If Plant is on the side being funny style and acting stupid, that's fine. Let him do his own thing. I could take David Coverdale, I can put Led Zeppelin together and I can hit the road running again. He would be a fool to not have those thoughts cross his mind. Now, what if he was to have approached Jason and approached John Paul Jones and said, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of doing this? They might have said something like, dude, are you out of your damn mind? That is a hell no times 100, right? And we will never, ever, ever speak of this again. In fact, you are going to say no when the press talks to you about what do you think about using Coverdale as a replacement for Plant. And you are going to say no. That's what you're going to do, because what you're doing here is you are putting us in the middle of an implosion. You are, in a way, putting us in a place where we're going to have to take sides. Don't do that shit. We will never speak of this again, and it's never going to lead or bleed out into the media. I could see something like that happening behind the scenes of all of this. Come on, man. This is a great collaboration. This dude looks like and sounds like Robert Plant enough to pull it off. Enough to front Led Zeppelin on a tour. Enough to cover Led Zeppelin songs. That blues song totally sealed it for me. Totally sealed it for me. So that's my theory. That's my Wayne's World thoughts. You don't have to share it. You don't have to like it. But you can't deny the fact that at some point in time, those thoughts crossed Paige's mind. There's nothing you can say to convince me otherwise. No way. It's just too close to home. Really too close, because you know that it crossed Plant's mind. It had to have crossed Paige's mind. And I would dare say, I would bet money on it, that he at some point in time asked that question, or it was raised, or they had a meeting, or something like that went down where it's like, what do you think of this? It went as far as that. That's what I believe. I'll leave it there, because I know some of you are going to slap so many shades of black off of my ass on this. I know it already. So let's do this, man. Let's hit up the interview with Paige and Coverdale, and maybe it'll fill in some blanks and make me look stupid. So, Paige and Coverdale interview 1993, and it's 9 minutes and 28 seconds long. Let's get it.
Well, I'm David Coverdale.
And I'm Jimmy Page.
And you'll be seeing us on More of This.
To finish television 1993.
I was hoping to have bought a boutique before my 30th birthday, fortunately not. No, when I joined Purple, it was that time where I was very young, and I didn't know any pop stars over 27 or 28 at those days. You know. So, I mean, it's great. It's number one, it's fantastic to hear somebody I've admired for so many years playing so superbly well, and still with the passion and the vitality and the energy, which people are remarking a great deal about when they put this on, the sheer energy of the Coverdale Page record. And that, you can't pretend, that's legitimate, that's it's passion, mate.
We've met in the past, just like passing ships in the night, just nodding acquaintances during the 70s, but we'd obviously being in our own relative situations as far as David's band Whitesnake, and I was on my own. I'd been wading through many cassettes to try and find a vocalist, because I was really desperate to make some musical statements, you see, to prove I was sort of alive and kicking, and totally well. And it was becoming increasingly frustrating, as the mailman would bring a cassette, I'd rush it to the tape player, just no inspiration from any of these people. And it was getting a bit of a drag, and then my manager called me up and said that a mutual friend of ours had suggested that it might be a good idea if David and I got together.
I was going to be a fisherman I'd really had enough of the music business. I'd had enough of White Snake. I'd had enough of a lot of the private circumstances in my life. I really wanted to take at least a year to consider if indeed I wanted to continue, you know, with music as a career. And I was terribly confused. So this was the end of 1990. The end of January 91, I received a call to ask if I'd be curious about sitting down with His Lordship here. Of course, I've been an admirer of Jimmy's from way before Zeppelin, you know, before the Yardbirds. And I said, well, yeah, of course I'm curious, but I'd just like to sort a few things out so I can sit down with an open mind, and because a commitment like this is pretty substantial, and we could look at, as we have, 2 years, you know, work. So we agreed to meet at the end of March in New York. So we've just passed our anniversary, actually. And I'd got on remarkably well, immediately. No walls, no, you know, fences needing mending or whatever. We got on terrifically well. And of course we go for the well-known walk around Manhattan where we stop traffic, which was an indication to both of us that it could be very special. But the most important thing, other than us agreeing and shaking hands on several, you know, ideas, the most important one being that we would do everything one thing at a time. So yes, we got on well. The second stage, of course, was to find out if we could compose together.
Because there's no guarantee if you put two people of this stature together that it's going to create that sort of alchemy and chemistry, which is totally necessary. You know? We were both aware of the fact that if we were going to team up, and as David said, you know, during this sort of traffic incident, there's guys shouting out, "Hey, you guys going to be working together?" That seemed really promising. But you know, we have very high standards of ourselves anyway, and certainly jointly, it had to be something that was really, you know, a killer album at the end of the day. But there was obviously this thing could we write together, so I went up to Lake Tahoe where David lives, and we got together on the first day, both pretty nervous,
Yes.
you know. I mean, neither of us wanted to let down the side,
Indeed.
you know. And that very first day we wrote Absolution Blues.
Oh man.
We really do have a good
That's
time
the
together,
first song? Holy.
you know, which has never interfered with the work. We're both extremely conscientious professionals. And once again, I think throughout, as now, neither of us want to let the side down. And we're both familiar with being bosses or band leaders or whatever you want to call it, orchestra leaders, you know, conductors. And this, it couldn't have been written better by a romantic novelist, you know, really. And we're personally thrilled. It's a fascinating process to watch him work in the studio. I've worked with a lot of guitarists, a lot of big-name guitarists as well for many years. But to see a true craftsman at work, the most remarkable thing, I think, was a real simple discovery, is that he is so concerned with getting the best out of the song. You know, that at times you'll find on some of the tracks on the album, there isn't a guitar solo, which takes nothing away from the actual input on the guitar. You know, it's a beautiful approach and perfect for me as a songwriter to work with somebody with that focus on a song. It's marvelous.
Do you think that many of the new guitarists, they can't really play the rhythm guitar? They just play all this blah, 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 and that's it?
The wiggly
Well,
stuff.
yeah, well, there are some like that, but that's where they've allowed their focus to be. I mean, I see things in a total overall picture.
Which, like I'm saying, is to work with him, where you have all this interesting and articulate and melodic and scary guitar tones.
And the solos are like
and still,
singing.
yeah, like and space and air to breathe. A lot of the guitarists I've worked with have just treated a song as an excuse to get to the solo, and then go
whereas
wiggly.
I'm the
you know.
total opposite, whereas the solo is always the last thing to go on, which will sum up the overall picture of every other overdub that's gone on. And they usually, I mean, I usually just, I won't work out a solo beforehand. It's sort of straight off the cuff, and I'll maybe try 2 or 3 different approaches to it, and then take the best. That they really let me get on with what I was doing. I mean, let's face it, in the early days, it was just an acoustic guitar. I mean, it started with acoustic, ended with acoustic,
Yeah.
but it's a fact, there was one in the house, and I remember seeing, and I was getting really seduced by rock and roll at this point. I remember seeing some kid at school, who was the only one actually, sort of had a guitar that he was playing, and I said, I've got one of those at home. So and he showed me how to tune it up, and I went on from there. But my parents, I don't think they really knew what was going on, because this is really, you know, in very early days of rock, as we were saying, you know, there wasn't really the, you know, people sort of being plucked out and being stars, or you could relate to, you know, like there are now. But they were very supportive.
I think my parents were more concerned about me going to art college, because it was the height of scandal newspapers reporting orgies at lunchtime and stuff like this, you know, just any sensationalist thing they could get out of it. I think that's was more their concern. Is he going to be in orgies instead of having his sandwiches?
No, I'll be the first to admit that. It's the best I've played since the days of Zeppelin, and the complete picture of things, you know. I play well in other circumstances here and there, but in the overall, there's no doubt about it.
It's very intimidating when we sit down and talk about new bands coming along. The amount of financial requisites for them. For instance, you know, any record band getting a deal with a record company, the advance will be, I should imagine, as a sign of the times, relatively modest, which has to include the cost of of making a record, presumably a star producer, and they ain't cheap anymore. And then the cost of videos and those kind of things, let alone instruments. It must be very daunting
Extremely
economically.
daunting.
It's ridiculous how out of proportion it's grown. You know, unfortunately, I considered Robert a friend prior to my substantial success, which is the only indication I can think of him, you know, pretending not to know me, which is very unfortunate. He was a guest at a great deal of my shows, you know, an honoured guest, and I thought it was quite a stab in the back, as a matter of fact, instead of saying, well done, job well done, you know, or whatever. It's ridiculous.
I think, plus I think from any other area it's short-sighted to level that sort of criticism, because David's employing so many different, many different colours and textures to his voice on this, you know, that it's short-sighted.
No, Jimmy, it isn't. I'm sorry. There is just too much of Robert Plant in that sound. And now, it doesn't excuse how Robert Plant behaved or whatnot, but you can't deny that, one, the guy sounds like and looks like Robert Plant. Two, you know that he is capable of probably fronting Led Zeppelin revival. You know, all of those things going on. Like I said, I'm not excusing Robert Plant's behavior, but you can't deny the fact that they could have put Led Zeppelin together again and hit the damn road. Come on, man. This whole album is a testament to that, right? You'd have to be blind not to see that. And again, it's taken me back to my theory. I think that at some point in time, in Page's mind, he saw that Led Zeppelin with Coverdale could have been revived. You can't convince me otherwise. Unless he actually said of himself, no, that was never the plan. I've never thought. I don't know. That's just where my mind is going. What do you think? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. All right, man. Actually, yeah. So let's do this. Point break, just so I can kind of get an idea for editing purposes. Let's just say that this is the end of part 2. Come on back. Let's do a quick review. Okay, y'all, man. Let's do just a super quick review, man. I talked a hell of a lot. This reaction is already, holy shit, it's going to be hitting like probably past the 2-hour mark. That's insane for any reaction, album reaction especially. Sometimes a quad can go as much as an hour and a half, but this album reaction is definitely going to go over 2 hours, man. So I'm not going to talk too much. Let's just do a short review here, man. Get a little bit more background on this album. Okay, so yeah, Coverdale Page. Coverdale Page is the only studio album by Whitesnake lead vocalist David Coverdale and former Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page, in a collaboration known as Coverdale Page, released by Geffen Records in North America and EMI internationally on the 15th of March in '93. The album was recorded at Little Mountain Sound Studios in Vancouver, Criteria Studios in Miami, Granny's House in Reno, Nevada, and Abbey Road Studios in London. Recording commenced in the fall of '91 and concluded in early '92. It was produced by Page, Coverdale, and Canadian record producer Mike Fraser. According to Coverdale, the merging traffic sign shown on the cover of the album signifies two roads joining to one road. Try to express unification or joining together. Coverdale Page reached number 4 in the UK and number 5 on the US Billboard 200 chart, while the first single released, Pride and Joy, although barely making a dent on the pop charts, reached number 1 spot on the album Rock Tracks chart for 6 weeks. The album was certified gold by the RIAA for sales of the LP, CD, and cassette in excess of 500,000 copies, and eventually went platinum. Damn, that's an accomplishment, especially considering that there's I'm assuming no commercial hits on the album. It also received the official Japanese Sony Music In-House Award for sales in excess of 150,000 copies in Japan, as well as the EMI In-House Sales Award for sales in excess of 60,000 copies in the UK. Do you think those album sales were just on the heels and the momentum of the Page Coverdale image? Because they've got some great projection coming, being from the likes of Led Zeppelin and Coverdale from the likes of Deep Purple and Whitesnake. And I think he might have been in other notable outfits as well. So I think that they were very, very well known. And of course, that collaboration would just you would probably just go out and buy it regardless, right? So maybe that's a big contributing factor, especially being that there's no hits on it, as far as I know. Background: the project commenced in '91 at the suggestion of American A&R executive John Collidner, as both artists were signed to Geffen Records at the time in North America. The two had met at least once before at Castle Dunnington's 1990 Monsters of Rock Festival, which Whitesnake headlined. Aerosmith were second on the bill, and Page guested on their encore Train Kept a Rollin'. Great song, man. Prior to the formation of the duo, Page's former Led Zeppelin bandmate Robert Plant had been reluctant to reunite with Page. In interviews at the time, Plant expressed some derision at the guitarist collaboration with Coverdale, referring to the project as David Cover Version. Okay. Copycat. He's copying me. David was really good to work with, Page said. It was very short-lived, but I enjoyed working with him, believe it or not. Yes, okay. It reminds me of a quad I did at one point in time, and a David Coverdale and Page song was in it, and I remember this quote, and I was asking, believe it or not. And so there was a lot of story swirling around with this quote, and so some people were enlightening me. I remember now, believe it or not. That has a lot of meaning. In keeping with the circumstance and the situation and all of the stuff going around. Yeah. And again, giving a little bit more fuel to my crazy ass theory. If he had approached John Paul Jones or Jason Bonham in the form of, hey, what do you think of us getting together as Led Zeppelin again? Wow. I have a feeling that they'd be like, are you out of your damn mind? Don't ever bring this shit up. Don't ever let it out there. It's just my theory. Reception. Sales were respectable, especially in the UK and US, where the album went top 5. Critical reviews were also favorable, with Rolling Stone stating that it may not be the second coming of Led Zeppelin, but it's close enough that only the most... Holy cow. How in the hell do you pronounce this word, man? Only the most Curmudgeonly. Is that a word? Or is that like a misspelling? Okay, let me just read it and then I'll have to look it up later. Only the most curmudgeonly would deny the band its due. I could never be a critic, man. You gotta have a complex vocab. Coverdale's bluesy howl has never been put to better use than against Page's guitar. Unquote. Q magazine went further saying, excellent. This album screams classic from start to finish. Unquote. That's what I'm saying, man. Legacy. The following review from RIP magazine, quote, Robert Plant is going to be seriously pissed off when he hears this, unquote. And the poor reception and sales of Plant's album Fate of Nations, released around the same time, was apparently the catalyst for Page and Plant reuniting for an MTV special, 2 albums and a tour. Okay. Was that in, yeah, so that would have been in the mid-90s, 95, when they went to, was it Morocco? Yeah, I think, okay. I get the timeline now. In a March 2018 interview, which happens to be the 25th anniversary release of the album, on Eddie Trunk's Sirius XM radio show, Coverdale revealed plans to release a remastered box set version with the possible inclusion of 4 or 5 previously unreleased tracks that were written and recorded for the album, but didn't make the final cut. On the 25th of June 2019, the New York Times Magazine listed Coverdale Page among hundreds of artists whose material was reportedly destroyed in the 2008 Universal fire. Okay, man, that must have been a crazy-ass fire. I hear about this quite often, and so many artists have lost their material. I gotta read up on this fire. Reunion attempt. Outside of a reissue of this album, there has not been any activity between the two. However, Coverdale, in a 2021 interview, wants to collaborate again with Page, hinting that more Coverdale Page material may be possible. Okay. At this point in time, it probably doesn't matter, and I don't imagine that it would be a Led Zeppelin thing, or even if it was, I don't think that the flame isn't burning hot anymore like that. So I think it would be fine if there was probably a Led Zeppelin reunion with Coverdale. You know, I think that at this point in time, they're much older, wiser, you know, have a little bit more salt, and I think that Plant would probably be over it. He's had a couple of really successful reunions, and I think that he is at the end of his line where it comes to Led Zeppelin. So it would be fine if, let's say, the boys had one more in them without him. His legacy is solid and it's sealed, right? Especially after the O2. What do you think of that? Let me know. I think he'd be fine with sharing. All right, so that concludes our look at this really good collaboration, man. Yes, it's not Led Zeppelin, but the musicianship is great. The collaboration is great. I'm sorry, Coverdale does sound like Plant sometimes, and it's enough for him back then to have probably done a decent enough job covering Led Zeppelin material. Whether Plant liked it or not, he is that good, and he would have done a pretty decent job. You know what I'm saying? All right. Good overall. Without all of that stuff around it, it's just a good album and it's a good listen. And I would listen to it again, and I would listen to it all the way through from beginning to end. All the songs are good. It's well crafted, and the musicianship is excellent. You know, and it's haunting. It's haunting Led Zeppelin. Jimmy Page has his hands all over this where it comes to the creative element and the sound and that guitar and how the guitar is talking to you and everything. There's just a lot of it in here, man. You know. Anyway, guys, that's it, man. I got a bunch of stuff coming up. I got to do reactions. Jeffrey, Amy, Jeff, Robert, Finesse, Akachita. Got reactions coming up for you guys. 1 or 2 new patrons as well. So that concludes our look. And this is probably the longest album reaction I've ever done. Damn, man. Evelyn, you are lucky that I think the world of you. Otherwise, I would not have been hanging in this long. Anyways, thanks very much. I appreciate the recommendation and the links, and adding that interview was great. Yeah, they are great guys. And Coverdale, I like them 100 times more just by watching that 10-minute interview. And you know what? If you're Robert Plant sitting at home watching that, you're thinking, not only is this guy a good-looking guy, he sounds like me, he's very, very warm, inviting, he's professional, he's well presented, there's just no bugs on this guy at all. That must have burned. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'll leave it alone and I'll let you guys handle the rest. So take care. Have a good one. Don't dice me up in the comment sections. Have a good one and I'll catch you later. Peace.